Okay, good morning everybody. We are going to jump straight in, numeracy for squares. Continuing with our fractions, this morning we're going to take a look at multiplying a numerator and a denominator. Okay, we're looking at the relationship between equivalent fractions and how to get there by multiplying the numerator and the denominator. Let's have a look. Okay, so your learning intention is at the top. Equivalent fractions, we're going to be multiplying a numerator and a denominator. So pause the video, take that down. Now, over here we have a simple fraction, a proper fraction, 3/4. The shape is made up of 4 parts in the denominator, and the number of parts shaded in is 3, that's your numerator. Equivalent to that, or the same as that, is another representation of the same fraction. We have 6/8. 6 parts are shaded in. Out of the 8, your numerator is 6, the denominator is 8, 6/8. Now, we're going to take a look at how we can quickly multiply our denominators and multiply our numerators so that we can change between one fraction and another. Even though they are different fractions, we can make them equivalent. So let's take a look. So here we have the 3/4 that we represented above. We want to look at the relationship between this number and this number. What did I do to get from here to here? The same on the bottom, on the denominator. What did I do to get from here to here? The answer is, of course, I multiplied by 2. And the rule is, whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So we multiplied by 2 on the bottom, so we multiply by 2 on the top. We've gone from 3/4 to 6/8. These are equivalent. These are worth the same, even though they're represented differently. It's important that you remember, whatever you've done to the bottom to get to there, you do to the top. Okay, so let's take a look at our next example then. So we have 5/8. We have a missing fraction. What did I do to the bottom to get the 56? Your times tables and your division facts should remind you that you have went 8 times 7 gets you 56. And we do the same, whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 5 times 7 is 35. We have got 35 56ths. That is a very small piece of birthday cake. Down here on the bottom now, we have another way of representing it as well that you might come across. This time, we have the missing fraction over here, but it does not change the way that we do this. We just go over here and go, what did I do to the 7 to get the 21? I multiplied it by 3. What did I do to the 3? I multiply it by 3, which gives us 9. We have 9/21. Okay, so you're going to have a go now, having a little bit of practice at identifying pairs of equivalent fractions from the diagrams, and then represent them underneath here. Remember the relationship between the bottom numbers and the top numbers. It'll help you finish that off in no time. That is the squares. Okay, it is now our triangles turn. So triangles, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, well, we already know basic fractions. We know some of our common fractions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some other fractions. And the idea is the same. They will have a bottom number and a top number, and we'll look at what they look like when they're drawn out as well. We are going to be introducing 7ths, 9ths, 12ths and 20ths. Let's jump in. Okay, so this builds upon yesterday's work a little. Let's take a look at some new fractions. So again, we have our top number and our bottom number, which we'll take a look at in a wee second. We can see that the bottom number is 7, which means that our whole thing, our whole shape, would be split into 7 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, let's shade a few of these in. I've shaded in 4, so our top number becomes 4. We have now got 4 7ths. The same for our next shape. You can see that there are 9 parts to this shape, and in this shape, the 9 is at the bottom. In this shape, I've shaded in 6 parts out of 9. So we have 6/9. Down here, the pieces in our whole shape are getting smaller. That's why the number over here gets bigger, because we've cut it into more pieces. Okay, so the smaller the fraction, the bigger the number. In this one, I'm going to shade in. Let's go right to the very end up here this time. We'll go all the way up to 11/12. So nearly all of that shape is shaded in. And finally, our last one, 20. The number's higher, look. So there's lots of parts and they are much smaller than the previous parts that were split into 12, were split into twelfths. So let's shade a few of these in. We've shaded in 6, so we've got 6 20ths. Okay, so we're going to put this into practice. Here you can see we have the fraction up here recorded as a number, and here we have the shape. Now the shape is going to be split into 9 parts, and you will need to shade in the top number. So we will end up with 5/9 of this shape shaded in. Do the same for some of the other fraction shapes that we have here as well, and they're recorded both in numbers and in words. Then that'll be you colouring those shapes, and then this time you're going to have to identify what parts of the fraction shapes are shaded in. Okay, so make sure you use the correct notation. The number on the bottom is how many parts the fraction shape is split into, and the number on the top is how many parts are shaded in. Good luck, triangles. Okay, circles, it's your turn. Now we're going to take a look at different types of fractions again. Building on yesterday's work, we're going to take a look at our proper fractions, mixed fractions, and what we call top-heavy fractions. Let's jump in. Okay, so let's start at the top. Let's take a look at this. This is a very common fraction. You've seen this before. It's split into 4 parts. So the bottom number is 4. The top number is how many parts of this shape is shaded in. That is 3. You recognize that fraction as not 3/4, but 3/4. It's got a special name. A fraction that's normal like that, that is a common fraction, is called a proper fraction. It's written down the way it should, it's represented the way it should, so that is called a proper fraction. Down here you can see we have 1 whole shape, all the parts are shaded in. 2 whole shapes, all the parts are shaded in. That's where the number 2 comes from, first of all. These are your whole numbers. You have 1 whole thing, 2 whole things, that's where the 2 comes from. We have 1, 2, 3 parts of 4 shaded in, so we've got 3/4. This is 2 3/4. This is called a mixed number, okay, because you're mixing proper fractions with whole numbers, so it's called a mixed number. Let's take a look at the third type then. This is the exact same fraction from up here. Look, the same number of whole things are shaded in, the same number of fractions are shaded in on the bottom shape, but we've recorded it differently. Up here we recorded how many whole parts there were, and then the fraction of what is left over. Down here we're just counting all the fraction parts. So instead of going 1, 2 whole things, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 11 parts. All of the whole shapes are split into 4, so we've got 11 parts over 4, we've got 11/4. Now this looks weird. We typically don't write our fractions like that. That's why it's called an improper. So it's not proper, it's an improper fraction, or top heavy. Now there's no prizes for guessing why we call it top heavy, because the fraction on top is bigger than the one underneath, okay? And that's not normally the case. Normally it's the smaller number on top and the bigger number beneath. So in your work today, you're going to have to write mixed numbers, and you're going to have to write them as top heavy fractions. So here we have 1 whole thing split into 4, and here we have another whole thing split into 4, but only 3 parts are shaded in. So as a whole number, or a mixed number, we're going to have 1 3/4. As a top heavy fraction, I wonder what that would be. How do we work it out? We count all the individual parts, and we put it over how many each whole shape is split into. So in this case it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 would be your top part of your fraction. 4 would be the bottom, because the whole shapes are split into 4. 7/4. Okay, good luck. Circles, let's see how you get on. Okay, well done. Now we're going to move on to a comprehension. So the secrets to comprehensions. Number 1, read the text twice. We know that research shows that if you read a text once, you will soak up some of the information that's in the text. However, if you read the text twice, you have a much better picture of what's going on in the comprehension. There are lots of skills that you would use, including sequencing, inference, ordering, concluding, all those types of skills. You need to have a good understanding of the text even to get used to using those skills. So make sure you read the text really well. If you're stuck on a question and you're trying to think of what the answer is, don't use your brain, go back into the text and find it, okay? Don't rely on your brain to recall the story. Go into the story and find the part that the question's talking about. Now, how do you do that? Read the question, there will be keywords in there. Look for those keywords appearing in the text. You will match up the question to the part of the comprehension that you need to answer. After that, we always talk about stealing part of the question to begin your answer. So don't just write down a brief answer. If the question says, why does Molly enjoy going to the park? We'll steal part of the question and say, Molly enjoys going to the park because, and then put a full sentence answer to give a good comprehensive answer to the question, indeed. So take your time on the comprehensions, read them twice, soak up the story, read your question, go and find the evidence in the story to prove that you are right. Don't rely on your brain completely, okay? Sometimes it forgets, just like mine. Good luck. Okay, and finally, to finish off today's sets of lessons, we're going to complete the other half of our topic challenge from yesterday. How did you get on? Did you identify some planets? Did you write a description? Did you do an illustration? 4 more today. 4 more today to do. So split that page into 4 and create some topic cards on the planets, please. I don't know if you can upload pictures on YouTube and send them back to me, or can you? I don't know, I would love to see some of your pictures of your work. So if you can get pictures and get them to me somehow, send them through. Let me see how you've got on your cards. Okay, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. I forgot to mention that I've included some mental maths activities as well, so take a look and make sure you pick your level before you begin. But there's some mental maths in there and it's good for developing vocabulary, so have a go at that as well.